Hey folks, man, this is Cory, and we're back with another episode of Classics of Cinematics. You know what I'm saying? And this is the show where me and Bobby Blockbuster
Yo.
take a look at classic films, that we love, that kind of shaped our film-going experiences. And today we're going to be looking at 1982's Conan the Barbarian. And this is directed by John Milius. And it's kind of interesting. I think I'm not sure who did the script. I think Oliver Stone actually had a hand in this, helping with like an early draft of this script. That was an interesting thing because this property, I think it says they've been trying to get this thing made since 75.
Because it was definitely a comic book before it was a movie, right?
Well, it's based on he first appeared in 1932 in kind of a pulp science fiction magazine called Weird Tales.
Wow.
And he was created by Robert E. Howard. He's one of my favorite, I guess, what would you call it, fantasy writers of this era. I mean, he also wrote horror tales, some poems and stuff like that. One of the interesting things, he was really good friends with what's the guy named Lovecraft.
Okay.
So they had a ongoing relationship for years, sending letters to each other and kind of copying off of each other's work.
Right.
But I think he was a little bit more versatile than Lovecraft, in my opinion. It seems like Lovecraft kept kind of writing the same story and rewriting it, over
Giving
and over.
The same well and
yeah,
shit. Yeah.
Whereas Robert E. Howard wrote, he did Conan, I think Cole the Conqueror, Solomon Kane, which are really crazy characters, and they've also had their own books and stuff like that. I think they made a Cole the Conqueror film with Kevin Sorbo. It wasn't that great, but
I liked it. It was kind of cheesy, and I saw a Solomon Kane film.
Yeah, Solomon Kane joint is hard.
Yeah, that shit is dope, man.
That's a really good movie.
Yeah.
So what's interesting, he wrote those characters. He also did stories about boxing and just all kinds of subject matter. So I think he was a little bit more versatile and experimented a little bit more. But he died, not soon after this. I think he's died in the 30s. So he had a little run. He kind of took his own life. Yeah, so they were trying to make this film since 1975. In 79, the project was sold to Dino De Laurentiis, who's a pretty well-known producer. His daughter Raffaella produced the film, actually. So John Milius was appointed as the director, and he rewrote Oliver Stone's script. So the final screenplay integrated scenes from Howard's stories and the Japanese films Seven Samurai and Quaden. So they filmed this thing in Spain over about 5 months, and and it was eventually put out in 1982. Starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. This cast is crazy. James Earl Jones, Sandhal Bergman,
Mako Iwamatsu.
Yeah, I love him, man. He plays the wizard.
Yeah,
Akira the wizard. I guess Cassandra Gava is the witch. We got Max von Sydow, who's a crazy actor, as King Orsic, and there's a lot of cool characters in this thing. Jerry Lopez as well as Subotai. So the story here is crazy, man. Let me just give you the synopsis. Orphan boy Conan is enslaved after his village is destroyed by the forces of the necromancer Thulsa Doom, played by James Earl Jones, and from there he goes on, and goes out to get revenge eventually for what Thulsa Doom did for his village, man. And I guess we could talk about how this thing starts off, man, which is interesting. We get, it's kind of a flashback sequence, and it's really crazy. It has this really dusty, smoky look that it kind of feels like it's taking place in a different time, you know what I'm saying? And we're in this peaceful village, they're chilling, and all of a sudden they get ransacked just by guys on horses. It's crazy the way the scene plays out, some of the historical elements that are thrown into it, but they lay waste to this village, man. I thought some of the cool things were the dogs in this film, man. You got Rottweilers in armor.
Yeah.
There's guys and horses, and they're just killing everybody. in sight, dude.
And it seems like they're doing this just in search for like steel. Like they just want they want the swords and the steel and stuff, because apparently Conan's father is telling the story of Crom, who's like the god that they worship, and I guess his legend is that he found some steel like deep in the earth, and that's how he used that to create the sword, and the sword's almighty and things
in a way nature. It's loosely in a way that's part of it, but part of it too is like Thulsa Doom. He's running a death cult pretty much. So he's ransacking these villages. He takes usually killing all the adults, and he flees away with the children. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And we see it's crazy, like that one scene where they kill the dad, and then the mom is like the last one standing, and she's trying to protect Conan. She raised the sword, and then you kind of get an idea of this guy's powers, because it's kind of cool. Because James Earl Jones is looking crazy in this, man. Like he's the only like black dude in this film, but I kind of thought it was cool that he's the villain, because you really don't. Black guys don't really get to be the villains much.
And he perfects the ice grill. Like he's got this blank stare on his face.
Well, I think it's playing into that mythology that snakes can hypnotize you, because clearly he stops her in her tracks. She freezes. She's ready to swing the sword at him, but she freezes, and he decapitates her in front of young Conan. Yeah. And they take him away, and it seems like they sell him pretty much into slavery, man. Him and a bunch of the kids from the village, and
they put him on that wheel. Like I was looking at it, dude. Like remember when we was talking about this? It was a few months ago. We were watching the film. Couldn't find the purpose of this wheel. The wheel is just called the Wheel of Pain, and the only thing that it's there for is just pretty much to make somebody suffer.
I think it's a little more than that, because it's like. The way it looks like they're using in this movie, it looks like a grinder, some kind of milling things. I don't know if they use it to grind up stones or grind up grain, because like if you look in the middle, there's that like dusty, filmy material like on the thing that's spinning around. So I think that might be something to do with it. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like you said, this thing is driven by manpower. And whoever's running this operation, they need to keep feeding bodies to keep this wheel moving. And it's one of the craziest shots in this film, because and another thing that I noticed rewatching it today, so he gets clipped to this wheel as a youngster, and that's all he exists for, to run this wheel. And there's a bunch of people on the wheel. And then we get some time lapse stuff. We see him start getting older.
Yeah, and swelling up.
And the other guys are getting older. Some of them are passing away with the wheel, from working that wheel. They're dropping off. They're dying. And then we get the final cut where he's still pushing the wheel. Dude, there's like grooves worn into the ground from their footsteps, like a path that they've carved out from doing this for like thousands of hours.
And wasn't he the only one? It got to the point he was the last one. He's pushing the wheel by his fucking self.
You know what's interesting though? So he's the only one on the wheel. But look, if you notice when he first gets there, there's a little redhead kid that's slightly older than him that clenches his basically he's stuck to the wheel. I don't even know if it stops. Like he must sleep attached to it, because they bind him, they shackle him to the wheel. There's no lock and key. It's just straight boom. They close the pins, and then later on, I guess it's an older version of that kid, because he's probably stuck to this wheel for like at least 15 years. You know, it seems like the time passes, looking at his growth. But then you see another redhead guy, and I think that's that same kid, but older, comes and grabs him from the wheel, and you're like, oh, well, he's saving him. But then nope. It's going from the wheel, which is like one form of slavery, to another. Then they throw him in the fight pit. And it's interesting because he's never done all he knows is that wheel, dude. And it's crazy. They throw him in the pit.
And it's like gladiator style. Like that's the one thing too that I really like, because this film, for it to be like an action adventure fantasy film, it covers all of the bases for consistent buildup. Like, we get the revenge aspect out the gate, and then you see how they're treating him as a youngin', and then we get to see with this fight montage, this whole gladiator element, we get to see how he became so thorough and such a good fighter, how he can handle himself through the course of the film. The way
he had to learn it, because it's crazy. Because at first they throw him in there, he don't know what's going on, and the guy attacks him, and he's just like
he's grunting.
He's hitting the Arnold sound, bro. Like And then you see that the survival instinct kicks in, and he beats the guy that's trying to kill him. And then, the thing goes on, and he just gets better till he's the man.
He kind of gets raised up on a platform. I mean, like, to a certain extent. I mean, he's still under the thumb of them, but he's a level up. Like for all intents and purposes, even though they're treating him like
he's still your fighting dog, but at the same time, he's winning.
He's living
going to live a better life than the dogs that can't fight.
They're feeding him good. He's got his own. He's got his own little living area, and they're bringing him women on a regular basis.
Yeah. So he's enjoying that. Like he's just like a finely kept racing horse or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And eventually, I think it was interesting. They send him out to the east to get even more training. That's when we see him working with the sword fighter, the Asian guy. And it's weird as I'm watching this, I'm trying to figure where this takes place. And it is a fantasy world. And I think Robert E. Howard called this the Hyborian Age, the mythology and it's kind of like almost a prehistory realm. But there's also that line where sword and sorcery are merging with what's going on with these people. You know what I'm saying? But But if I had to guess a place, this feels like the Eurasian steppe. Kind of like Russia and China along those those borders right there. Just looking at because it's interesting. Like when he goes to the east, there's that scene where he gets his training up, and then and he's sitting with the big dogs, and I swear that's probably Genghis Khan.
I was about to say
they don't say
they're
who
dressed
it
like
is,
Genghis,
but he's like on the side right hand of Genghis Khan eating with all the generals, and it's just crazy. And they ask him, what's most important in life, Conan? And dude, I love that shit, man.
Genghis answers first though, or the one who looks kind of like Genghis, and dude's like, no. And then Conan answers, that is the best.
Yeah, and he said, what's best? Everybody's saying this shit, and he's like, no. And then Conan goes to crush your enemies, to see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentations of their women. And I guess he said the right thing.
Yeah,
everybody's like,
yes, correct. Clapping for him and shit.
But something interesting happens after this that I thought was kind of cool. After this, middle of the night, dude, someone comes in and wakes Conan up, and it's the redhead guy again. And he just boom, knocks his chains off, bangs him with the axe, and he pretty much mushes Conan, kicks him even like get out of here, you're free. You know what I'm saying?
But that's also the cinematography and like just the little insinuations are so awesome because Conan's looking like he's like, I don't know what to do. Like freedom was a lost thought for him. So he's almost like it's like when you open the cage to let the bird out, and the bird flies and then comes right back to the cage.
I love this story, man. It still holds up as something to watch. I mean, there's probably some things with the acting and all that, but I think the pacing, the storytelling is great. The sets, how everything looks, like they really took some time to recreate those interiors. They shot this in Spain, so the landscape looks pretty good. But also the set designs, those like even when all the generals are sitting there, and the music. It's
I love
great,
the score.
Dude.
That is power music at its finest.
Who did the score to this thing, man?
Honestly, I don't know. I didn't even look it up, but man, I love it though.
Yeah, it's great, dude. So let me see if I can find. Music by Basil Poledouris, and he just does a great job. Like it sounds like the music that would be played in this era. Like it just has that fantasy element, orchestral kind of type production, and it gives the weight to so much weight to the narrative.
Yeah. It's strong. It's a strong score, man.
So eventually we catch up with Conan stumbling about in the wilderness. You don't know where he's going or whatever.
Real quick though, when he first escapes, that's one of my I have a lot of favorite scenes, but when he's running and then the wolves are chasing him, he jumps up.
I was about to get on that.
All right.
So he's running and he's running aimlessly, but then we catch him. Wolves are chasing him, and he ducks into this cave. He climbs up on a rock where there's a cave, and he goes down in. And you realize it's a tomb, and I don't know whose tomb it is. This guy looks like I don't think he was a king, but maybe he was someone that had a lot of wealth because the stuff that's in there, it's not really golden stuff. Someone's probably plucked that out or whatever.
But I mean, he's sitting on a throne. And, he does have a head shroud kind of thing, some kind of helmet.
And Conan finds a sword, and it's all crusted over, and he bangs it on a rock, and you can see the blade. And I thought this was so cool without showing us what was what. He sits there. There's a moment too where he's sitting there, and he prays to Crom, his god, as if, oh, you changed my fortune. Thanks for the help. Yep. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is funny, the way they describe Crom, he's not going to give you that. He's not going to do it for you. He might give you something that's going to aid you, and but he's not going to do this. Like the wolves ain't going to disappear, but I might make this sword show up that'll give you a chance, and then it's on you. And then I like the way the state transitions because he gets a sword, and next thing we see him running with a back full of
furs
and fur.
He gets to the top of the mountain, and he cuts his little ankle chain off. He looks at the wolves, and switches.
And then he's just walking with the
man
little fur on, like
fully covered in fur.
I think that's dope. I love when you do that. You didn't have to show us but you show us the results, and that was cool. But and he moves on, and this is crazy. Like this thing kind of turns into like the Odyssey a little bit because he's just wandering and having encounters, and
but still in search for Tulsa Doom. Like all he knows is he's looking for the snakes. He's
in a way, but I don't think we even got to that yet because he's still kind of wandering. But I don't know if that's. I guess ultimately, but because he doesn't really mention that until he runs into a woman.
But that's the first person interaction he had.
And then he's like, yo, she's like, come in from the cold. And then she's looking like she wants some more to be in from the cold, but it's a weird thing. You realize she's kind of a sorceress. She's doing little party tricks like making the fire splash up. Then she tries to bang him. But while that's going down, she's kind of talking about some philosophies. Like, they said some strong man would come from the north, a conqueror who would eventually make himself king
from his own hands.
And you realize like she's not just speaking gibberish, so she knows something. I don't know how, but she also says what you seek is, go by this place. But at the same time, they still having sex. She's
like, I'll tell you your info, but it comes with a price. And that was,
she's trying to kill him.
But she wanted him to lay it down first.
Yeah. So she's having sex. She starts witching out on him, and he's like, "Yo, what the fuck?" And he throws her off of him into the fire, which I thought was crazy. And then there's some crazy. The effect. It's simple, but I think it still holds up. That thing where the spark.
She turns into like a spark. Goes out the window. He's like, goes up to the window. Crom.
I was like, bro, what is this? Yeah, that's his word. It's like, I guess that's his version of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, right.
But then I thought it was cool too because he looks out the window and then she's gone into the sky. I was like, yo, but then this is the bugged out part. He still stayed there after that. Like, could you go back in there and go to sleep?
No,
I couldn't.
No, I'm continuing on my journey.
But he had his place, so I guess that's all he needed. And he's like, fuck that, I ain't going out. I'm gonna stay in here.
It's warm in here. But she's gone.
On the way out, though, it looks like another guy that she has abducted or captured. That's when we meet Subutai.
Yeah.
The archer and thief, as he describes himself. I love this period because it's so wild. You couldn't do that now. Like if you met somebody, it's like, yo, what's up, man? This is my man. He's an IT guy. You can't be like, yo, this is my man. He's an archer and a thief.
Right.
You're gonna be like, why are you hanging around him?
And my man was thorough too, because Arnold's like, he's like, man, why are you chained up? And the dude's like, man, just give me some food. He was like, I don't want to die from starvation. Mm-hmm. If the wolves are gonna come, I want to be able to fight them off. But you know what I'm saying? Like, he's like, man, feed me. He didn't even ask for Arnold or for Conan to set him free or nothing. Yeah. He was like, man, just toss me a little something to eat so I can defend myself.
That's another thing that stands out. Like, there's some quality characters in this movie. Like just the characters that we, that are joining Conan, and so they team up. Have a little meal to eat, talk about the gods and stuff.
That was great
that
too.
Was cool too.
Arnold asked him, he's like, "Who do you worship?" And my man was like, "Yeah, the four winds." And then he was like, "Ha ha ha!" Crom laughs at your four winds.
then he's like, "Well, Crom lives under the four winds." So your god lives. I'm like, it's fun, man. Yeah. It's a fun little scene. But then, so then you realize they are going toward Tulsa Doom. Like, they get in the town, they're asking around, asking questions, and pulling people's coats, and they realize that they have a temple there, and they decide to go there. I guess they're going to rob it, and also just to see if he might be in there.
Because there's the it's like the eye of the snake jewel or some shit like that.
So it's like the two snakes come up, like it looks like the medical thing in a way, but then there's like a moon in the middle. And they said, there's a temple here close by. So they go in there and looking for Tulsa Doom. He doesn't happen to be there, I don't think, at this time. But then some of the other people are there, and was interesting. Then they run into someone else who has the same idea of robbery that night, which is Sandhal Bergman's character.
But she wanted the red jewel. That's the one she was searching for, because down there with the big snake, that's where like the snake was like the protector of that red.
Yeah. Which I think was dope, man. Seeing that snake down there, and plus, well, actually, Thulsa Doom was in there. Or no, he wasn't, but at this time, but. The cult, that's their god, the snake. You know what I'm saying? This death cult, and then for them to have this giant ass snake,
huge. Oh man, and it's so messed up too, because you as it goes, like as they're pulling their caper, like you see there's like some like ritualistic sacrifice going on, and
that's where the death cult comes into play. Yeah, because like I said, they've been taking people's, kidnapping these women, they raise them up only to sacrifice them to the snake god, and I think somehow Thulsa Doom draws power from that, because the rumor is he's 1,000 years old. Yeah, that's probably how he's been able to maintain himself and stay alive.
And it was wild too, because you see Arnold and my man the archer and thief, they're down there battling, going to war with the big snake, getting the jewels up and stuff, and then the young lady that's about to sacrifice herself, she's standing up there, and my man claps his hands. And so she jumps off into the pit. But by this point, the snake is headless, it's dead, and she just hits the ground. And it's just like, so she got all fucked up from just jumping down there, but wasn't far enough of a drop for her to die.
It was definitely like a sacrificial pit. Yeah. But I will say that snake looked amazing, dude. Like, for something to be an animatronic, and it's huge. I'm talking about like the coils are like a tree trunk, dude. Like how big and bulky this thing is. I mean,
dude, the head was about as big as Arnold's torso.
Yeah, it's a great look and effect, and it's just dope that they put that all together. But anyway, they ransack the place, they steal their jewels, and then I think it's kind of dope that we see them like kind of doing what a lot of robbers that mistake where you just blow your spoils, like they just living it up, dude. They
like, I don't even think they went out of the town. I think they were still in the same area.
Probably was in this joint for like
in a local pub, just getting shit faced, eating up everything, food, throwing jewels around like they got it.
And eventually they run out of money, and it seems like the local authorities have figured out that these were the people that attacked the temple, and they bring them to the local I guess he's the local king or the guy in charge, and the only thing that saves him is the fact that it was a temple of Set, and this guy has his own beef with Set. So apparently Thulsa Doom and his Set cult, they ran off with his daughter, who was a princess, and he wants to get her back. So he tells Conan and them, I'm gonna let you off of this crime, but you gotta go get my daughter.
And he gives them all those jewels too. He's like, man, take all the jewels. Like, I don't give a fuck about none of that. Which is just wild, because this is what Arnold wanted to do anyways. So it's like, it's wild that he keeps running into all these people, but he never strays his course path. But he keeps running into these situations where it's like, this was what he had going. He would have did this shit for free, but now he gets more jewels.
Well, interesting thing that happens is I gotta get her name. Valeria. Yeah. So she's trying to convince him. She's like, look, man, they gave us all these jewels. Let's just go. Yeah. Let's dip. Like, we don't gotta do that shit. Why risk our lives for that?
And plus, they were kind of vibing. She was like, look, man, we feeling each other.
Let's live happily ever after. A little more than he was feeling her, but you could tell there's a mutual understanding. We'll get to that later, but she's like, nah, dude, let's just run. And then they go to bed together, and seemingly like, all right, but then she wakes up and he's gone, and you could tell he's hell bent on the mission. He's gone. He's dipped out.
But he left her that damn necklace or that jewel that she wanted, though. The little red
yeah, thing. I guess in case here's some money to figure it out.
Well, no, because later on down the line, Tulsa's like, where is the eye of the serpent or whatever that red jewel is called? He was like, you probably did something foolish, like leave it with a woman for one night of pleasure. And that's like kind of in essence what he did, but not really. He was going to get it anyway.
The wild thing here is that I like how he infiltrates the cult. Like, they're gathering up for some kind of ceremony, and he kind of pulls one of the priests to the side and it snatches his gear, and he tries to walk up in there. And
but before that, he meets the wizard.
Oh yeah,
that was when he first met the wizard, and the wizard is so fun because he's like, it's like he's one of those dudes where he's just everything's a joke. You know what I'm saying? Just laughing.
I love this
joking around and shit.
Mako Iwamatsu plays Akira the wizard, and also he's narrating this whole story from the beginning. It's his voice that you hear, and I did like that, man. He kind of gives some advice on the cult and gives them a more precise direction where to find them and all that. But
and Arnold's like, he was like, where can I get some flowers? He's like, what do you need flowers for? A woman. He's like, he starts laughing him out. Like, hey, this dude, everything that Arnold says, he just laughs him out. Like, he's like, man, what's wrong with this dude?
Arnold goes up into the thing and does, he tries to infiltrate this thing, but he gets spotted during the process of this. And I think this is the second time he's met Tulsa Doom since Tulsa has destroyed his village. And it's crazy because...
Was it the second or the first? I think that was his first time.
Well, second time meeting him overall, but the first time
seeing since
and basically they beat the shit out of him, and they leave him for dead, dude. Like pretty much, he's tied up on the rocks, and I thought this was great, man. I love this scene where he's tied up, vultures are hanging around him, and he acts like he's dead. And then he's just like, and he bites the vulture and kills him because he needed something to eat. And he's like,
but it was like, it was well too. Before they crucified him, like the interaction between him and Tulsa, like Tulsa is like, he tells him, he's like, yo, when we hit off, your little village, he was like, I used to think that the power was in steel, like that it was this almighty weapon. He was like, man, the power's in the flesh. And he was like, bro, look, watch this. He said, hey girl, come to me. And she jumps off the cliff. He's like, look what I can do. And then like, so he's really smelling himself.
That's how, like I said, I think that's how he maintains his power. He's built this cult, and he's got a steady cycle of sacrificial supply of flesh that keeps him alive and keeps him in power.
It was really dope too, because we finally get to see, like, this was like the first little bit of emotion that you see from Arnold, you know what I'm saying, or from Conan when he's telling him, he's like, man, he's like, you killed my father, you killed my village, you stole his sword. Like, he was pissed, and that was the first time you hear him through this whole journey that since he's been freed, where he really like opens up about it and is emotional about what really happened, and like just to tell him that shit, like, it's like, dog, you see his fire is all the way fueled. He's not gonna go away easy.
Yeah, I love it, man. So essentially, dude, he's pretty much done. Like my man shows up, Subutai, they pull him down, but it's too late. You know what I'm saying? So he's pretty much dead. So they go back to the wizard, which is weird. I don't know how they found the wizard. Maybe they were trailing him, and the wizard told them where they sent them.
I thought it was cool that the homies came back for him, because like, it was dumb on his part to go on to go try and infiltrate alone when he knew that he had two people that were rocking with him all the way. Yeah. But I think like it got to the point where he was like, yo, this is
also
my
he
beef.
Probably my beef. I don't want to I care about these people. I really don't want to put them in danger. But this interesting thing that happens because Valeria and Subutai and Akiro, they decide to do a spell to bring him back, and even Akiro's kind of being like, cautious, like, warned, like, this thing's going to come with a great cost. And it's an interesting scene. He's wrapped up. Scene. They cover him up with the markings and the spells, and they do the thing, and it's crazy because Valeria pretty much has to fight off the spirits.
The whole sky turns red, fucking the spirits come.
She has to fight the spirits off that are trying to claim his soul. And they bring him back, and it's interesting. He comes back. He's ready, and this time, he don't even have to ask. They down with it. Like, let's go get this man.
And they're like, dude, you see how far Trooping Solo got you? You know what I'm saying? So let us fuck with you.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. They do another temple infiltration. This time, Tulsa's in there, and
their camo was cool as fuck.
Yeah, I love that. I love
camo. I mean, all the
but it wasn't even camo.
I don't know how it was disguising them in any way, but it looked cool as shit.
Maybe it was meant to just make them harder to recognize versus making them hide. You know what I'm saying?
Still stood out.
But it
looked cool. cool as shit though.
Yeah, so it'll be hard to make out their features, but you can see them. They're not.
Yeah.
But that goes down. They go to town. They work on them. Interesting thing happens though. We see Tulsa actually transform into a snake.
Yeah, man.
Which I thought was cool. The effects they're limited for the time, so they're doing a thing. They cut away, and he's more transformed. They cut away, and he's more transformed. And then there's a shot where it looks like his face starts stretching out like a snake, and his arms draw back into the robe, and then boom, next thing you know, we see this big ass python who rolls out. And then, as they get out of the temple and they're making their escape, they fail at getting him. Last minute his tail slithers away, but they're running back on the horse. And I think this was the revenge that the wizard was warning about, because Tulsa and his troops at the last minute, they show up and he does the crazy thing, man. He pulls out this snake and straightens it out. He shoots an arrow, hits Valeria, and she's done, bro. And like it's kind of messed up because they try to recreate the spell thing, and he can't save her, dude. They can't bring her back.
And it's fucked up too, because like when they infiltrated the temple, like the archer dude was just like, he was like, bro, we're gonna kill Tulsa at another time. Mm-hmm. We're going in there just to save the princess. We got to get the princess, get her back to the king, and then we can go ahead and assassinate the dude at a later date.
And Conan kind of blows this because they could have done that, but he's so intent on getting Tulsa that he doesn't miss his chance, and he tries and they fail. Yeah, and he loses his first true love, I guess, other than his parents.
Yeah,
and but then they fail to bring her back. But I like this part too. We decide to it's the last stand, pretty much. They know Tulsa's people is coming.
They're coming, yes.
And then they fortify their little area where they're going to decide to fight. And I think this is one of my favorite moments in the film, man.
Absolutely.
When Conan is just sitting there and he prays to Crom, asks him for help, with this battle. Pretty much just give me a chance. Not, don't do anything. Just give me the chance. And then my favorite line, he's like, if you don't listen, to hell with you. And dude, man, that shit hit me so hard at a young age. I was like, bro, this motherfucker is talking to his God like that. Like it just put all kinds of crazy thoughts in my head, at that age, man. And it's amazing, man. It's an amazing moment.
It's so cool when they fortify the the little area that they're fighting. Like I was telling you, it reminds me of when he's gearing up the woods when he fights the predator. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, he's just making all these little traps and all this shit going on. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like
only 3 of them.
It's only 3.
They're taking out
a whole army.
Yeah. So basically, they got these pikes set up, so the people on horses, they can only get so far. So if you get past that, you got to come in here and fight. And he's a beast with the sword, man. We know. So,
I wonder if he really had to learn how to. It looks like he's really doing that shit.
Like one of the best things ever, man. If you got this on DVD, there's a director's commentary with Arnold. It's hilarious. Also very informative, and there's some featurettes and articles you can find online about them getting prepped. There's pictures of him and Sandhal Bergman, training with the swordsmen to get their moves right. Like they actually did take the time to get that. That's why he's whipping that thing around and looking so effortless.
Man, really fucking smooth.
He's actually pretty decent with that sword in this, man. They took that seriously.
And that sword's big as shit,
at least to make that look competent. Yeah, that broadsword is crazy. It's
huge, man. I know it's got to be at least maybe 15, 20 pounds, I would think.
Yeah, I don't know. It would have been harder to whip that around at that weight. Even though he is, a former Mr. Olympia, I'm thinking maybe about 10, something like that for a broadsword. But yeah, it's great. And I like how he's got the soldiers from the tomb. I think this might be that same tomb area where it looks like you know what I'm saying? It looks similar. It might not be the same place, but he's got the dead warriors propped up in this thing. Maybe it's designed to make them look like they are more of them than it was until they get real close up. But they designed this thing so they can kind of funnel the guys in so they can fight them and not, get swarmed and overmassed. So they got Akira and all that. But it goes down, man. And I think it's dope how he just, perseveres and whoops the ass, dude. It's a nice little battle scene. You get the action and all that stuff, man. And I'm trying to remember the last few minutes of this, dude. Because I think Tulsa gets up there, but it's after the battle, and I guess he's able to get his revenge, at that point.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, how this thing ends, man. Like the it definitely has a really great climax. But one of the more interesting things, I think, I'm trying to remember if this was the one. It might have been part 2, but I think it was this one where they kind of show it's like a prologue story, and
at the end, and he's like sitting there with the sword up. Yeah,
he's on the throne.
Yeah,
and I guess that's to allude to where he would eventually go, with his life, because he does become the king in the stories.
Yeah,
there's a Marvel comic series. I think my favorite iteration was the Savage Sword of Conan, the big magazine, black and white ones.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, yeah. Go. I'm gonna bring that out.
Bring that out. But yeah, man. No, like I said, just the the whole final stance and everything. It's so fucking dope, and they're so ready. They're so ready, bro. Like I love this. And then you look at this and you can see where films that came out later on down the line where they got some of their their ideas from when they go into war. Like another one of my favorite movies that kind of follows this just slightly different was the 13th Warrior. Like, they go into the same, this almost the same element, the same realm, just at a later date and time. But
and that's the thing, man. Like I want to see more stuff like that. And the 13th Warrior was probably the closest thing I could think. The Solomon Kane, even like where I thought, that the subject matter was treated with reverence and done to the best of their ability. Because the thing about this film, it spawned a bunch of just cheap knockoffs. Called, it's jokingly called the sword and sandal genre, amongst the exploitation era films, and there was a bunch, man. Even Sandhal Bergman showed up in a couple of these films on her own after doing this, because her star power got up so high. And it's crazy because she was like a Broadway performer. That's where she comes from. I think All That Jazz, and other films, to end up in this and then become like this action star of these pulpy kind of films.
And what was really cool too, like now the second one, the Conan the Destroyer, it doesn't hit as heavy as this one, but you know what? I like Red Sonja just as much as I like this one. I thought that Red Sonja was a really cool installment.
It could have been better. Like I feel like this is the blueprint. Like I feel
this is the blueprint. Yes,
Red Sonja to me falls up in the exploitation side of it, where it felt more cash grabby. Even though Arnold is in it, it's just that the production value it just doesn't hold the same. Is Akira the Wizard in that one as well?
I believe so.
Is he the same character? That's kind of crazy.
So it's still in the Conan world. That's what I'm saying, and that's why they were, because he's still even called Conan.
Is he in that?
Yes.
I don't think so.
No.
That's wild.
He's still Conan.
I haven't seen that in so long.
He's still Conan. It's just they just team up, and
because it just feels like a lot sillier in tone, than what this brought to the table. But yeah. So this is what I was wanting to show y'all, man. So this is the first issue of Savage Sword of Conan. I was able to scoop this up at my local comic shop. They had it, and I was like, I gotta get this dude. And the date on this is trying to think. I believe this is 72, dude.
You can tell the date by how much it cost when it first came out. What's that? How much does it say?
$1.
$1?
Yeah, and this is like the magazine size is really big. It's all black and white, and they were doing like pretty much there was some original stories, but a lot of it was adapting the Robert E. Howard stuff. So this is crazy, man. Look at the old this is like, I guess, homeschooling courses you could order, like the ads and stuff. So yeah, I love this.
Look at that. Look at the illustrations and such, though.
Yeah, they were dope. I think Red Sonja's in this, dude. There's a Red Sonja story. So this is drawn by Roy Thomas. I'm trying to get the year. 74. Yeah, dude. Like it's crazy, man. And they would all have like several stories in here, but like if you look at this artwork, man, like it's so much cool stuff you could probably adapt, man. But these productions for this kind of stuff, they kind of get up there, man, pricey, and especially now, with filmmaking. But and even this dude, the Frost Giant story, bro, this is one of the most famous stories, man. Like it's crazy, and they're adapting this stuff. You know what I'm saying? In this magazine form, man. But yeah, dude, it's dope, man. I love this film. I love this character. They did do a reboot in a way with Jason Momoa.
I
hated that thing.
Like that.
And the crazy thing is, they had
justice.
They had all these actors and you know, the production value. I did think the sword fighting and all that was well done, but the story was just ass, man. Really bad acting. Really just a bad script in general.
And that was just another you know, example of, you know, some things just don't need to be redone. You know, if you want to make an extension of the film, or you know, give us a, you know, another version separate, but don't some things just don't need to be recycled and remade. It's just it's that simple.
So interesting thing is, Marvel has pretty much got the rights back. So in effect, Disney owns this character, which I think is interesting. And I think I've heard that producers were interested in getting this character back in the film, you know, production, and you know what I'm saying, and possibly TV stuff, which I'm looking forward to, because it's interesting that he's back in the comics, man. They actually did a run where he's some kind of way the Avengers got taken back into his universe, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of interesting. I've been looking, might try to see if I can scoop up a graphic novel of that, but character's dope, man. It's just a really fun and interesting property, you know.
And just think, I mean, if they were to make this a TV show, there's so many different stories. There's so much uncharted, untreaded territory that, I mean, it's endless the things that they could do.
Like the thing that I got, I got audio book, and I got the book of the Robert E. Howard stuff, dude. There's thousands of pages, man. Like you know what I'm saying, hundreds of hours of story that you know what I'm saying, you could tap into, and it's crazy, man.
When you look at it, I mean, it's almost like, I mean, I know he's a mortal man, but it's almost like he's almost like a mythical, you know, almost like Hercules in a sense. You know what I mean? Just without all of the other stuff going on, but I mean,
and I like the fact that there is magic in the world. Like just now, as we're watching this last battle, and Valerius shows up out of nowhere, and armor that's so bright that it blinds the dude that he's fighting to give him a moment to breathe. You know? It's amazing, man. They did a good job with this. It still holds up, man. This is definitely one of my favorites, and this also helped push Arnold to that next level, man. You know, because this was 82, you know what I'm saying? So we still haven't got Terminator yet.
I was about to say, one Terminator, what followed this?
I think it was close after, man.
And the reason why he wanted to do that was because he got to play a bad guy. I think he was like, you know, I don't want to be a good guy all the time. Like, he wanted to spread his catalog a little bit. And I mean, shit, he was, without him, then I don't think Terminator would have been a successful franchise. Oh yeah, look, James Earl about to throw that snake again.
Yeah, he's trying to get his thing. But this is the thing, dude. So up until this, he was in nothing. You know, he
did like Hercules in New York,
but that was nothing. I'm just saying nothing as far as notable. So yeah, this was the first notable film, Conan in 82. Then he did Conan the Destroyer in 84 and Terminator, Red Sonja in 85, and Commando, Raw Deal, Predator, Running Man. Then he hits a stride right here, bro. Like you know what I'm saying? From
I
Commando,
love the Running Man too.
From Terminator to like he goes on a tear, dude, where he's just killing the box office.
Everything that he was in, dude. Like, even though it was kind of cheese, Last Action Hero was all right.
Yeah.
Fucking Kindergarten Cop was great. You know what I mean? Like, dude, he was almost like there wasn't a year that went by since this, or so, like I said, since 84 with Terminator, where he wasn't dropping at least one movie a year. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He stayed in the box office. John
Milius, he would go on to do a couple more significant films. After this, he did Red Dawn. Then he did Farewell to the King, and his last credit as a director was Flight of the Intruder, which is a great film as well. That was a classic. That's the one, yeah, dude. Oh man, Danny Glover with the little radar plane, dude. Oh, that joint has some really
never
dope.
Seen that.
Oh, that's a classic, man. It just has some dope mini oh man, I can't even explain it, dude. You know how they do those small micro sets, but they were doing it in a weird way. They were using like a plane,
right,
to shoot these sequences. Forgot what it was. It seemed like it was like a radio pilot who was down, and the intruder was trying to rescue this down pilot or something like that. I can't remember, dude. Because there's another film also that has a similar thing. Yeah, so all the stuff that they were shooting with, it was done with miniature sets, and like it was crazy the way they were flying through this terrain. Yeah, it wasn't a weapon like play. Yeah, I think they were trying to fly in and pick up Danny Glover, who had got shot down. It's got Willem Dafoe, and it's just dope how they shot this thing, man. It's just a really fun, action flick, man. Yeah, I love that thing. Yeah, Flight of the Intruder was dope, man. But yeah, I think we can wrap this up, man. You know what I'm saying? Conan the Barbarian, just a great film, man. Great score, great production, great direction. The acting is passable. There's nothing really that wows me. James Earl Jones definitely was probably the better actor at this point in this film. He's definitely nailed it as this Tulsa Doom character. And it would have been great if we would have got to see more, because the history of these characters, like at least in the comics and in the books, Tulsa Doom is a character that, he's kind of like Cobra Commander. Like he keeps evading capture, so Conan has to deal with them a lot. Especially in the comics. He would definitely pop up and have different plots. And the thing that stands out too as well is it's sort of allusion to some of the stuff that this world has in it, because this world, there's different nations, there's different countries. Like Conan is a Sumerian, and then you got just a bunch of other different tribes and countries and regions, like even Crom, which is Conan's god, but then the mainstream god in this period is a god named Mitra. So it was like, those two, it was almost like Allah and God and Jesus, you know what I'm saying? So you got that, like it was a really well developed world, a lot of political stuff too, like the way the characters it's almost like a feudalist period where nothing is fully settled. So you got warring nations, and that's the thing, man. Like Conan's career, he's been a thief, he's been a mercenary, he's been a
gladiator,
a warrior, a soldier. He's been a pirate ship captain. He's been so many things.
Just imagine what his resume would look like back then. I mean, he's covered all his bases.
Yeah, just imagine if you would have took the time to turn those stories into films, even to this day, man. Like if you did it right and got rid of all the problematic shit, man. Like the I forgot what it is, the Queen of the Black Coast. That's one of the most popular series, man. But Conan. That decapitation.
He messed up James Earl Jones's fine-tuned helmet head. He's had helmet hair like shit in this job.
So the Queen of the Black Coast is really what set this character on the map. This wasn't Conan's first appearance, but when this story came out, it was just so dope. I mean, we get a really dope, strong woman character. I forgot her name. I think it was Bellet, but there are some problematic elements. You got this, white woman who's running a ship, full of, black sailors and stuff like that. But I think if you reworked it, maybe change some of the elements of her, like it could lead for some compelling film material, man. You know what I'm saying? It would be dope to see someone, try to tackle that, and that character is so dope. I think they actually launched a Bellet series, recently in the comic books, man. Because that's the thing, man. Like at this time, you didn't have, even though Conan, it was a Conan book, but it's also her book, that story. So you're getting a strong, woman, warrior character, and you didn't see it that much at that time. It was all about the dudes and them going on their adventures and stuff like that.
Yeah, man. I'm like I said, I'm totally with this film as well. I love the savagery with it. Like, I mean, it's brutal. It's brutal.
I love this world, dude.
All the elements that they bring, but it also, it's not just that it's brutal and it's savage. It really emphasizes like camaraderie. You know what I'm saying, amongst those that will stand toe to toe with you and fight with you.
Yeah, and the tone of this character is so like great to me. He's almost like anti-hero in a way. Like he's so opposite. In a way, he's kind of like punk rock, man. He's bucking the system, the status quo, and living and dipping in out the world on his own terms, man. You know what I'm saying?
It just so happens that on his quest, he's it comes off as heroic, but he has a personal agenda. He's not trying to take out Tulsa Doom to save the world or to help anyone else. He's taking them out because he's like, dog, you killed my father, stole his sword, killed my moms and my village.
And in a way, there's times where he's failing up. Like, he has no desire to be the king, but the circumstances of this character's life and how his tales unfold kind of pushes him up to that, and he starts taking on more responsibility, and next thing you know, he's running a whole nation, and it's crazy, man. Like, I think there's some really dope stuff to examine with that, man, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I think that's it, man. We can probably wrap this up, man, and I could definitely recommend you check out 1982's Conan the Barbarian. Like, it's even now, as I'm watching it, it holds up. It's entertaining. Like I said, you can sit back on a Saturday afternoon and just boom and sit back, and I like the fact that I'm transported into another world with this thing, and it definitely does a great job of holding that. And you know,
and it's a swift moving 2 hours.
Yeah,
it's a swift move. I mean, it's not like you're sitting there looking at the clock. There's so much going on, and I mean, it'll take you to all these different situations, you know what I mean? That it's like it doesn't ever, you know, stall out or make you feel stagnant in any way.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. I think that's it, folks. But yeah, you can, this has been Cory. You can catch me at Monkey Blood on Twitter, Instagram. Follow the podcast at From Canopy. Email me, us at FromTheCanopyPod@gmail.com.
And this is Bobby Blockbuster. You can catch me on Instagram, Bobby Blockbuster 118, and I will give y'all a slight this clue of what the next classics cinematic show is going to be. So Dead or Alive, you're coming with me. What's that?
Dead or Alive, you come with me. RoboCop.
Bang,
my bad, I was looking at somebody distracting me. Yeah, that's what's up, man. Yeah, folks, we're gonna be out, man. We'll catch y'all next time on the classics of cinematics. Peace.